with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, a sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. And our opening words are by Sherry Woodbury. On this eve of mystery and magic, let us enter into the Christmas story as if we were there on the holy night itself. What part might you play this year? Are you the mother, trusting your body to know what to do when the time of birth comes? Are you the father, protecting your vulnerable family from unknown threats on a strange journey? Are you the innkeeper who has no room, or will you take us in? Perhaps you are one of the animals who hear the child's first cry, but who will sing the songs of rejoicing for the precious babe. Who will rise up and follow the bright star of hope, even if it means a few lost sheep? What wise ones will give away their wealth and remember what to adore? And when the Holy Family must travel again, who in this harsh land will shelter them? On this silent night, let us search our hearts for our place in the Christmas story that never ends. Let us choose again our role in the incarnation of love. You are all invited now to pick up your song sheet, hymn number 226, People Look East. Well, now is a time for a very old story. When you hear your part in the story, come forward, and if you happen to forget, I will wave you or nudge you and we'll have you come forward. We have a few versions of this story, a story that was written long, long ago, and it's a story about a real person, but we know that at least parts of those written versions were imagined. So we'll go ahead and add to the story with our own imaginations too. You know, that's what good storytellers do after all, and story listeners. The first thing to know about our story today is that, like in so many stories, there was an emperor. Now, we don't have anyone playing the emperor tonight because in our telling of the story, he lives far across the sea, so he wasn't able to show up. And that emperor was a bad guy. We have to start out knowing that, even though he's not who the story's really about. The cruel ruler was a Roman emperor named Caesar Augustus, and he lived far away across the sea from where our story takes place. But his power and his army stretched very, very far. He forced the people far and wide to submit to his soldiers and pray prayers to him as if he were a god. Now, I know that doesn't sound familiar at all to anybody. He wanted people to say, "Caesar is Lord." They were made to chant in the streets during festivals. So, our story begins long, long ago in the time of this big, mean Caesar Augustus. He had ordered everyone in the whole empire of Rome to return to their place of birth and be counted in a census so that he could know how many people he ruled. Now, there was a young couple named Mary and Joseph, and during those days, they lived in the land of Palestine, which was under the control of Caesar. And they were expecting a baby, and miracles happened. The couple lived in Nazareth in the north, but Joseph had been born in a city in the west bank of Palestine called Bethlehem. So they set out to walk the long road to the city of his ancestors so he could be counted there. They're walking a long, long way. But they'll eventually return. Now, both of these cities still exist, so we know from Google Maps that the walk did take at least a few days. The story doesn't say so, but we have long imagined that they had a donkey. Do we have a donkey here? With them to help carry their bags. Sometimes we imagine Mary riding the donkey over the rocky desert paths, but I think that bit was added by someone who had never been pregnant. When they arrived in Bethlehem, they went, as we imagine, to the home of Joseph's family. Now, we can be pretty sure that the family welcomed them in, along with the rest of the extended family who were returning to be counted in the census. Now, the house probably looked the way most Palestinian homes looked. So put on your imagination cap and imagine with me. Now, there was likely a first floor with a fire for cooking and staying warm, and a stall for the cows. Do we have a cow or two? Any cows? So they were on the first floor, and the cow would stay in the stall during the night. And then there was likely a ladder to the second floor, or a loft where people ate and slept and entertained visitors. The second floor was cleaner because there weren't any animals there, and it was warmer. The house would have been quite crowded on the night of our story. You, all of you, can be our crowd of family, okay? So just imagine, this is how large the family was. We're all coming to be counted in Bethlehem. As travelers, Mary and Joseph would have been offered food and seats by the fire and a foot washing. Now, this was a traditional greeting for sandal-wearing travelers in the dusty desert. There was probably lots of hugging and exclaiming of, "Oh, it's been so long," and "My, how big you've gotten." Do any of your holidays look that way when you gather? Do you hear those words? "Oh my gosh, I can't believe how big you are." Now, we're going to sing a song, so you can stay standing here or you can have a seat until the next move, so you decide. But turn to your page of songs, and we're going to sing hymn 232, "The Hills Are Bare at Bethlehem."
The
Now, when we left Mary and Joseph, they were visiting with family and loved ones in a house crowded with guests. And the donkey and cow, you can come up too if you like. After settling in, night fell, and Mary knew the time was near for the baby to be born. Now here is where sometimes we imagine that Joseph and Mary looked for an inn to stay at and were turned away because there were no rooms. But the story doesn't really say that. It's a bit of a, kind of an oopsie-daisy with translation that maybe we should have corrected a few thousand years ago, but it's no big deal. We do know that Mary and Joseph came from a culture with strict hospitality rules and would certainly have had family to welcome them. Some versions of the story even list the many, many, many members of Joseph's family by name, and we thought that it would be too boring to go through all of that list. But if you want to look it up, you can. Honestly, hotels were not a thing back then, so there really weren't many places to stay. But what the story does tell us is that the upper floors of the house, that space for entertaining guests, was too crowded to have a baby in. It was full of many aunts and uncles, cousins, siblings, and grandparents, all spread out on their sleeping mats. Maybe little ones were crawling over top of their parents and cousins to find the coziest spot. Maybe great-granddad was snoring. Perhaps a few night owls were staying up talking in a corner. So Mary went downstairs with Joseph. And I think we can imagine, and the donkey and cow, you're downstairs, so you're welcome to go there too. And I think we can imagine that Joseph and maybe an auntie or a granny or two went to help. And because all of the visitors upstairs, there was not an extra sleeping mat or inch of space to be had. So Mary swaddled her baby in warm blankets. This is an unusual delivery.
Wow.
Got lucky. Put a little manger up here. Need that later. And after she swaddled him, Mary laid the baby in the manger, the feeding trough for the animals. And then she gave him a name, which was Jesus. Outside, on a hill nearby, shepherds, do we have some shepherds? We're watching their sheep, and I think we need a couple of sheep. Now, it was the lambing season, and just like Joseph and whatever aunties were there to help Mary, the shepherds were helping their sheep to give birth. Late in the night, a messenger appeared to them, and I think tonight we have two messengers, two angels appeared. And they said to the shepherds, "Be not afraid." This is what the messengers in the Bible stories always say. They're so kind to start all of their messages that way. "I bring great tidings of joy," the messenger went on. "Today a baby is born in Bethlehem, and he is the Lord," meaning that he's the most powerful. "You will find him wrapped in blankets in a manger." You know, wasn't that a funny message to be given? They must have thought, a baby is the Lord, the most powerful? That was the language they used for the faraway emperor, Caesar. You remember him? Remember Caesar? But a baby being the most powerful, and not just any baby, but one all the way out here in the middle of nowhere, in a home so poor and crowded he has to sleep in a feed trough? They had to see it for themselves. So the story tells us that the shepherds left their sheep, so although maybe like me and the church pageant directors for generations, you might imagine them carrying newborn lambs with them, wrapped up. And they went into the city of Bethlehem. They found the home that Joseph and Mary were staying in, and they went inside to greet the new baby. So the shepherds have arrived, and the sheep can stay on the hill, and the angels can stay here, or you may have a seat. So the shepherds, found the baby to be holy indeed. They bowed their heads and gazed at him in wonder. They told Mary what the messenger had said about her baby, and she was, as all new mothers ought to be, so proud. And now we will sing Angels We Have Heard on High, hymn 231. We're going to just pause for a moment, center ourselves for a little with the words of Reverend Rebecca Parker. You have to know your body as the home of God, and this is the purpose of Christmas. The rose blossoming in the wilderness is the unfolding of your pleasure as the fingers peel an orange and sweetness buds in the mouth. The bright star in the night sky is the sudden clarity of your instinct for joy. The birth cry in the night is your child falling into the dark and your arms holding her. The terror of Herod's murderous intent is your rage that would prefer death to change. The singing angel is your voice, not sure of the tune sometimes, but certain for a moment that there is glory. The animals, breathing their warm breath in the fragile stable, are your emotions, kneeling into the body of earth, at ease in the presence of however you name God. Mary is you, divinity in your body. Joseph is you, sheltering God in the world. This is the key to the mystery. The Word became flesh. We are that dwelling place. Let's breathing that in. and now we'll resume our story. The old stories say that the shepherds went out and became messengers themselves, telling all the people in the community that a baby was born. So shepherds, you can go out and spread the word that this baby was born. And that this baby, one of their own babies in the far fringes of the empire, so poor as to have been born among the animals and laid in a manger, was just as important as Caesar himself. God doesn't live in Rome across the sea, they whispered to the people, and the whispers kept spreading for years to come. God lives right here in the dusty desert with us. Love is here among us and is more powerful than any emperor could dream of being. Meanwhile, far away in the east, there were 3 magi, by which we mean scholars or learners. The magi are here. We have 3 magi. No, we need all 3. So some people translated this as kings, but magi really means scholars or learners. They had been watching the night sky for a long time, charting every star and planet, and they noticed that there was a new star, one that they had never tracked down before. It sat on the western horizon, and they thought its appearance must mean something important. These were very curious guys, and they set out on a journey towards the star. They followed the star until they found themselves in Bethlehem, sometime like maybe 12 days or maybe 2 years after Jesus was born. It was a little fuzzy in the telling. It was a long time ago, and the details are not so clear. They heard rumors that a new king had been born among the Jewish people of Bethlehem, a baby as powerful as Caesar, so they decided to try and find him. And why don't you come and face the audience? Now, do you remember? No, you want to go over there. but they want to see you. Now, you remember that bad emperor we started with, all the way across the sea? Anybody remember who he was? Who was it? Caesar, yeah. Well, because he was so far away, he had appointed helpers throughout his empire to do some badness on his behalf. And the guy that he had appointed to rule over Palestine was named Herod. If you thought Caesar was a meanie, well, wait until you hear about Herod. The Magi, because they were rich and fancy men, went right to Herod and asked him whether he had heard about this new king. So you can come over and chat with him a little bit. Have you heard about this new king? We hear a ruler to rival the power of the empire. And Herod was like, huh, what? I'm the only king around here, besides my boss, who has never visited, which is just how I like things. But Herod was tricky, so he kept that as an inside thought. Out loud to the Magi, he said, wow, that sounds cool. Please go and find this new king and tell me exactly where he is so I can go and honor him. So Herod goes back to his palace. And again, the Magi took off traveling, and they finally arrived where Jesus is. They followed the star to the place where Joseph and Mary and baby Jesus were staying and saw him there. They brought him fancy gifts from their home country and bowed down before him as if he were truly a powerful king. Meanwhile, that rascal Herod was up to no good. Now, Herod was back in his palace, but he was still conniving. Remember I told you he was a baddie? Well, you know what he did? He called up Caesar's soldiers and told them to go and find the newborn king and kill him. And he told them if they couldn't find the king, they should kill every baby boy they did find. Because unjust rules from unjust rulers always hurt everyone, not just the people they're meant for. But this unjust ruler would not succeed. That night, the Magi dreamed that Herod was being tricky and cruel, so you can see them dreaming. They warned Joseph and Mary and then went straight home by a secret route. So you can come this way. This is your secret route, back this way. And the Magi returned home. Joseph and Mary and their baby escaped through the desert to Egypt, where they stayed as refugees for a long time. And I think the cow probably found a home in Bethlehem, and the donkey, I think the donkey might have gone with Mary and Joseph, but the cow stayed. So Mary and Joseph ended up staying in Egypt as refugees for a long time until they felt it was safe to go home. So you all can kind of find a home. They never went back to Bethlehem, but eventually they did return to their home up north in Nazareth, saved because of the small kindnesses and enormous faith of a few strangers. And this is the end of our story. We have another song to sing. It came upon a midnight clear. So I think most of us have heard this story many times over. And I know to those who practice the Christian faith, this is a story that holds especially deep meaning. But I think it's relevant for everyone to think about the new births that are brought into our lives, the birth of each and every one of you. There is this wonderment, there is this potential for everything that Jesus ended up going on and teaching. We all have that capacity within us. So as you move through this holiday season, celebrating it in whatever fashion you do, I invite you to remember that everything that we imagine this story to mean lives within each of our hearts. And I hope that that is something that can ring true for each of us. I have a closing reading by Edward Erickson. We stand with eyes toward the east, awaiting the rising of the star, and we pray that love shall become flesh within each one of us and dwell always among us, and that compassion shall be born in human hearts. We celebrate the discovery of fact in the garment of legend. Let every candle be visited by let every cradle be visited by the three good kings of faith, hope, and love. Then Christmas is truly with us always. And every birth among us is the birth of God, Every child is the Christ child, and every song is the song of the angels. To celebrate Christmas is ultimately to say yes, yes to the power of love to remake humankind. May we be renewed in the love which can save the world. And because this is such a time of stories and song, we have one more song, hymn 254, Sing We Now of Christmas.
Sing we now of Christmas, Noel, sing we here. Hear our grateful praises to the babe so dear. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. Angels call to shepherds, leave your flocks at rest. Journey forth to Bethlehem, find the child so blessed. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. In the town they found him, Joseph and Mary mild, seated by the manger, watching the holy child. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. In the eastern country came the kings afar, bearing gifts to Bethlehem, guided by a star. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. Oil and myrrh they took their gifts of greatest price. There was ne'er a stable so like paradise. Sing we Noel, this child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel.
So we have come to that place in the service where we're going to dim the lights in a moment. I'm going to start the candles here. Does everybody have a candle before we start? Okay. So I will start here, and you have your candle, it's lit. The person who is getting lit from you should tilt their candle to catch your flame and then just pass it around. And once everybody has their candle lit, we'll dim the lights and we will sing Silent Night. So this benediction first, I have one little bit before we actually sing. I will light candles this Christmas, candles of joy despite all the darkness and sadness, candles of hope, where despair keeps watch, candles of courage for fears ever present, candles of peace for tempest-tossed days, candles of grace to ease heavy burdens, candles of love to inspire all my living, candles that will burn all year long. And now, silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round young virgin mother and child, holy infant so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight, glory stream from heaven above, heavenly halls sing hallelujah. Sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, child of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. So before we turn the lights on, just look around and, this little light of ours, let's let it shine and shine and shine. And then we'll bring the lights up and we can keep that light inside as we say the extinguishing the lights and candles words together. So we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. May the rest of your holiday be exactly what you need in this time. I hope it's filled with lots of love and connection, all the quiet that you need when you need it. And maybe, I don't think there'll be a white Christmas this year, but enjoy whatever's out there. I'm going to put this basket on the table out there. If you would like to give an offering as a token of gratitude that this wonderful congregation is here, you're welcome to do so. And go forth, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday.